Hello and welcome to the No Huddle Podcast. It is a beautiful Tuesday evening here in Evanston where I'm recording. And as a guy from the Bay Area, let me just say, it is crazy. I did not realize how cold it gets here. Like we're at the start of November, back home it's like 80 degrees. And over here it's already starting to snow. I had to break out the heavy winter jacket. And even in the dorm I'm a little chilly. So we got to throw on a little bit of a jacket. Let me just start before the podcast. Before we get started here, I want to thank you guys so much, especially our YouTube audience. There's been a lot of love lately on the episodes and the clips. Previous podcast got over like 100 views, which is crazy. I have to spend like a good chunk of my day now responding to comments on like YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, whatever. Go give us a follow there. We're also on Spotify. If you want more of this content, if you want like more instant reactions, shorts like that, those are up on TikTok and Instagram. And if not, hey, I'm just glad you guys are here. I'm so grateful. It has been such a great time with you all this season. And with that spiel out of the way, let's get started because there is a lot to talk about today. Week 10 obviously wrapped up yesterday with Eagles and the Packers. And the big takeaways, we have a mess right now in the AFC North with the Steelers looking like a mess and the Ravens potentially really starting to look like the Ravens of old. We have a few big upsets, and I think it's officially time to say we have a new big three in the AFC. But before we get to that, we have the Eagles and the Packers playing on Monday Night Football. And let's just start. The Eagles win this game 10-7, and in a game where, honestly, we had a Broncos-Raiders game on Thursday night that also was 10-7, but this was a different kind of 10-7. This was a 10-7 where there was genuinely talented defenses and not just an amalgamation of teams messing up. For the Eagles, Jalen Hurts goes 15-26, 183 yards and touchdown. Very okay game out of him. Saquon Barkley, 22 carries, 60 yards, getting 2.7 a carry. The Packers did a great job on him. Jordan Love goes 20 for 36, 176 yards. Josh Jacobs goes 21 carries, 74 yards. Let's start about it from the Eagles side. And we're going to focus on what was the negative, at least for the Eagles in this game. And then we're going to start with their offense. Their run game really is not, it's looking shaky at best. So that's what I have in my notes here. It felt like it was very uncharacteristic the way they were getting stuffed. We know Saquon Barkley is like a great running, but we've seen it the last few years. But a few times in this game, he just like either didn't have the burst or like there's one defender for him to beat who gets through and it just blows up the play when we're used to Saquon like making a move and getting out of those situations. But in this game, not at all. In fact, he even got tackled by a safety, which is something I haven't seen in a long time with Saquon. Evan Williams, who, by the way, is a phenomenal player, rolled down from his top spot right before pre-snap, charged through the guards, and just got an easy tackle on him. And it was like Saquon barely put up a fight. And as far as that offensive line goes, they're giving up way too many free rushers, holes, and one of them, like, they had a nice little play set up for Saquon to run to the right, but Jordan Mailata pulls left and just trips. And overall, this whole Eagles run game is so, like, out of sync, which is crazy because this was the thing that literally drove them to the Super Bowl last year. They were dominant all through the playoffs, all through the regular season. Of course, Saquon won OP Offensive Player of the Year, had one of the greatest running back seasons of all time, and right now I'm watching, I'm like, where the hell is that Eagles running game? And you could say it was injuries to the offensive line. Of course, we had Lade Johnson go out for the second half of this game, I think Jurgens was out for this game too. So it is something that probably will get a bit better with the offensive line being back. But right now we're 10 weeks through the year and we've had one signature Saquon game, and that was against the Giants. And in a game where Cam Skadoo got injured in the first quarter, and right now they just fired their head coach. We're going to talk about that later in the pod. I mean, I think after 10 weeks, we can officially say like this Eagles run game is just not what it's going to be from last year. But right now they're 7-2, so it's something I think that we'll maybe see affect them more in the postseason and where they really need to get that clicking. Because right now Jalen Hurts only had like that one signature game where he put the team on his back in that Minnesota game where he was awesome. So I don't doubt that the ability of him to do that in the future as well, but the Eagles as a whole are just like, they look so different than they did last year. Jalen Hurts, of course, he was fine at best. I have mediocre written in my notes. That sounds about right. He had a really, really big fumble in this game too. First of all, credit Edgerrin Cooper, the Packers linebacker who made the play on the ball. Punched it out, Fred Warner style, peanut punch, bang, Got it out. Love to see those. But other than that, it was just he was like fine. He had a nice little touchdown throw to Devontae Smith, and then of course they had that really really weird 4th and 1, or not 4th and 1, sorry, 4th and 5, where it was a 52-yarder for Jake Elliott, or you could punt the ball and give the ball to the Packers with 30 seconds left somewhere in their own 10-yard line, and instead they opt to go for it and try and go for the kill, but then Jalen Hurts just insta first read chucks it to A.J. Brown, who's just not open at all. Maybe he just didn't expect the Packers to play it deep. I don't know. Whole mess there. And for A.J. Brown, he continues to just not be involved at all. I think he finishes with 2 catches in this game. So he's just not a factor at all. It's Devontae Smith, or it's Dallas Goedert, or it's Jalen Hurts making plays with his legs, or it's, just Saquon runs getting stuffed. It's never A.J. Brown, unless it's like, of course, the characteristic like deep shot. And of course, I was talking with an Eagles fan this week, and he's like, when I brought up A.J. Brown, he's like, we used to run these slants with him over the middle, and I distinctly remember that, of A.J. Brown just being this like dominant threat in the middle of the field where he's just so big, he's so physical, that even if he's kind of blanketed on one of those slant routes, you just put it on his outside shoulder, he's going to catch it every time. But now that's just seemingly disappeared from the game plan. Like, A.J. Brown's still a hell of a player. Get him in cuts, get him something. And you could tell he's so physically frustrated. Whenever the play isn't directly going to him, he's not doing anything. He's not putting in good effort. So, for one, that is a critique on A.J. Brown, and if Eagles fans want to get mad at him for that, that is completely fair. You got to still put out 100% effort, especially when your team's 7-2. But, I mean, it's also an understandable frustration from his perspective as far as just not being a part of the offense at all. It's something where I've never seen like a more inevitable thing than the notification we're going to get in a few months when A.J. Brown gets traded off the Eagles, because it's just not a fit at all. And you know what? That's the end for a game they won. That was like a few minutes of me talking shit about them. But let's go to their defense, because there's going to be a lot more of me singing praises. I wrote, to the yin of Kevin Patullo, there is the yang of Vic Fangio, and I think that is fucking poetry. Sorry for cursing there. Yeah, Vic Fangio called a great game. He was like seemingly ultra aggressive, which is kind of rare out of Vic Fangio. Of course, in the Super Bowl, he was like, the thing he was famous for in that game was running only cover 4 quarters and not blitzing a single time the entire game and letting his 4-man pass rush get there. Not the story of today's game, or of yesterday's game. Of course, they were still getting there with 4 sometimes, but those blitzes he was calling up were working. Jalen Phillips was making huge plays on the edge. That looks like a phenomenal trade. And overall for the year, just seeing Vic Fangio call up more of these blitzes help his like 4 rushers, it's working really well. And it gives an extra dimension to that Eagles defense and his play calling abilities that really can be terrifying for the whole league. Talking, of course, Jalen Phillips, awesome debut. Called game on 4th and 1 too, which was pretty impressive to see. Of course, on that play, we're going to talk about it a little later, but it was the defensive tackle literally called out, hey, it's an inside zone. And frankly, the whole defense immediately penetrated through that offensive line. Pause. But they all got instant pressure, blew that whole play up. There was never a chance of that. And Jalen Phillips, of course, was the first guy to get there, even punched the ball out, too, for good measure. And that D-line of Philly now with him looks so good. You get the dominant interior threats, menaces, whatever you want to call them, of Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis, and then you add Jalen Phillips, and Jalix Hunt is looking really good. And not to mention, of course, you have the ageless one, Brandon Graham, slowly being worked in more and more. It's looking pretty good. Of course, it's no D-line compared to what they had last year with Milton Williams, Josh Sweat, Jalen Carter. Like, that was a whole freaking different beast. But to say that they can't get, like, at least a part of that production or a fraction with these guys, it's kind of crazy. Like, this unit's really good. And it's going to win them games, like it did today. Or, now, why do I keep saying today? Yesterday. It felt like the game was today. It's been a short day today. So, overall, I throw for Philly. They're 7-2. Their division is secured. If you look at the teams in their division, they have the Commanders, who have fallen apart this year, injuries, whatnot. You have the Giants, who just fired their head coach and are 2-8, and then you have Dallas, who is like 3-5-1, I want to say, and like realistically, they're not challenging you for that division at all. They're a team that's going to keep winning a few, lose a few, whatever. So they're in a great spot right now because they have like no pressure for that division. Of course, there's competition for the 1 seed with those beasts out in the NFC West. But they're in a great spot to just work some kinks out, try and get that run game going, try and get A.J. Brown more involved. They should be in a state of just experimenting right now because that defense can win them so many games alone. They just need to work out those offensive kinks. Now for Green Bay. I wrote just top of the header is just how inconsistent can one team be? It's frustrating. It's so frustrating watching this team. I could not imagine being a Packers fan this year because holy crap, there is so much I would just be so infuriated about. Coming off a loss to the freaking Carolina Panthers in a game where they got ran on, I'll give them credit. They adjusted for the run. Certainly played a lot better this game. They didn't let Saquon Barkley become Rico Dowdle, which, again, imagine saying that sentence a year ago. But they found every way to lose this game. They false started early in the game on 4th and 1 on what would have been an easy QB sneak conversion. That was Aaron Banks, by the way, former Niner. A guy who they paid 5 years, $92 million, by the way. Or no, not 5 years. That might have been 4. It was whatever. When I saw that contract, I was like audibly shocked. Jordan Love holding on to the ball for no reason before the end of the half and just getting strip sacked. And then when he like last second tries to get rid of the ball, but that's when there's already a defender all over him, and it's just the easiest fumble ever. I can't believe that play. That took 3 points off the board. They ran the same freaking runs over and over again. To the point where, like we mentioned before, Philly's guys literally called it. They called it like inside zone, which should not be the expected call when you're in shotgun. Which, by the way, why the hell are you running fourth down and 1 inside zone shotgun for the game? You're in shotgun? How they don't call timeout there and just get different formation in is beyond me. It's baffling. This is a critique I had of Philly 2 years ago when I was running a different freaking podcast where it's like, I hate the fact that they're running inside zone out of shotgun and it was killing their run game. They ended up adapting it. Safe to say, now they're hoisting a Lombardi, or they hoisted a Lombardi. But it was like something where it's like, this is basic shit, man. Don't run inside zone out of shotgun with the game on the line. It just doesn't work. I don't even hate the idea of running inside zone on 4th and 1. It's like you just trust your guys to be more physical and get it. Fair. Even with your starting center out of the game, it's still not a bad call. But doing it out of shotgun just makes it moronic. That play was baffling. I couldn't believe my eyes when I watched that. I even had some smaller stuff, of course. They play great defense in this game, and then the third down comes up, and it's 3rd and long, and then they found a way to give it up. That was on one of the Eagles' other drives that ended up killing a lot of clock that they could have used later in the game. And this is a smaller thing. I think Packers fans are the only ones who really noticed this. With McManus got injured a while back. He had a quad injury. And they brought in this kicker off the practice squad named John Haversack, former substitute teacher, by the way. Nice story. And he was perfect for them. I don't think he missed a kick. And he, in fact, has the franchise record now in Green Bay for a 61-yarder. And then, of course, they brought McManus back a few weeks ago. He looks really shaky. And it's like, okay, well, why isn't Haversack in? Whatever. That just kind of goes away. And heading into tonight, they say, oh, McManus is the healthiest he's been ever. Which, for one, if he wasn't healthy, why were you not playing the other kicker when he's on your roster? But whatever, they don't. And then tonight, there's a 57-yarder and a 59-yarder that Green Bay could have kicked. They were at the Eagles, I want to say 42, and let me do the math, 41, right? And both times, they opt to punt the ball, which is, if your kicker isn't healthy, then maybe play the other guy who can kick those. Because in this game, one field goal would have made it a tie, 2 of them would have gave you the win. You swap those exact same plays for kickers that now, kickers off the street have been making. Like Eddie Pinheiro for the Niners hit a 50-something yarder. I think it was 57. Your own kicker that you have in the building, John Haversack, hit from 61. So he can hit 57 and 59-yard field goals. And instead, you punt. And then, okay, you have that information. Cool. Your kicker cannot kick from over 55 right now. He's too injured. Okay. So then why the hell are you sending him out for a 64-yarder for the game? A kick that, by the way, had not enough power, nowhere near enough accuracy. It looked like if you went in Madden, gave the controller to a 3-year-old kid and told him to, hey, kick the field goal, because he shanked it all the way to the left. If you knew your kicker has genuinely no range because of the injury, because of whatever, because I know McManus usually does have the kick power to get there, why are you sending him out for that kick then? then screw it. Try the Hail Mary. It's a 5% chance. It's better than a 0% chance. Whatever. That's this game. If you were a Packers fan, or in my case, I was rooting for the Packers in this game just because I thought the Eagles had more of a lead in the division, or not division, for the NFC. And it was so frustrating. I cannot imagine being a diehard Packers fan right now. I cannot imagine being Tom Grossi watching this game. Holy crap. The amount of just obvious, dumb, frustrating stuff. And right now, a lot of that blame is being put at Matt LaFleur's feet. There's a reporter today even asked him just like straight up, hey, if you're coaching, do you think you're coaching for your job? And he said, kind of, which is crazy. Because again, he is, in my opinion, one of the better coaches in the league, or usually is. I don't know what the hell got into him yesterday. Usually one of the better coaches in the league. He's led his team to multiple 13-win seasons. Of course, the Packers last year were a bit of a disappointment, but 2 years ago they were this hotshot team that knocked off the Cowboys in Dallas as the 2 seed. There is so much talent on this team. Even with Elgton Jenkins now being probably out for a long time with fracturing his leg, and Tucker Kraft having tore his ACL. By the way, you could fully tell Tucker Kraft was not in that game. Oh my God. The amount of times that they were just looking for a guy to bail him out and they just didn't have him was rough. I think this is a very different game if Tucker Kraft is playing. Because they just look rudderless around him. They look like they're missing their guy, which in fairness they are. By the way, might be a curse on the players I like and getting injured. Because I do a little reel on Cam Scattaboo about a month ago. That does really well. That's a big video that got some traction for the channel. And he ends up breaking his leg. And then Tucker Kraft, I do a little video on him. And a lot of people are loving it. And then, of course, he ends up tearing his ACL. So maybe I shouldn't talk about the players I love anymore. Because there seems to be just a very, very specific curse. Overall, this is one of the most talented teams in football. I put them in the top 3 when it comes to just having sheer talent on their roster. Philadelphia, I think, has more talent than them just because that roster is stacked. And maybe the Rams with that front 4 and their secondary. But as far as pure talent goes, Green Bay is right there. And the fact is, right now, they are the 7 seed, barely clinging on to a playoff spot. Even with this defense being really, really good. And with having such a talented quarterback in Jordan Love, who is so inconsistent. But my God, the talent is right there. It's so obvious. Until this team gets out of its own freaking way, they can't just be seen as one of the best teams in the league. Even with all of that talent being right there. You can't consider them up in that Philadelphia, Detroit, what's the other team? Oh, Seattle and the Rams. You can't have them there right now. Until they learn to get the hell out of their own way. Not yet. Moving on. That was a lot of ranting and a lot of passionate frustration. So we're going to go on to something a little more calm. We're going to talk about Patriots Buccaneers. Probably was the game of the week, at least for Sunday, heading in. And at the end of it, the Patriots, man, they get themselves a statement game. Drake Maye has now been pushed to the top of the MVP odds. I want to say he's a plus 200, somewhere right around there, which of course is still a pretty decently long shot, but I mean, that's only because there's a good bit of competition for the award. And for the game, he goes 16 of 31, 270 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. That pick wasn't great. Trevion Henderson, 14 carries, 147 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He had 2 awesome explosive runs that we're going to talk about in a bit. And for the Bucs, Baker goes for 273 yards, 3 touchdowns, a good bit of stat boosting at the end, but hey, can't blame him, man. And that Bucs run game wasn't all too effective with Bucky Irving out. And we just talked about it. Drake Maye, top of the MVP odds. He's so good. Okay, and for Drake Maye, one of the big stats that I don't know why the national media has started to hate on a bit, completion percentage, he has been phenomenal. And why I value completion percentage, just because it doesn't stop the clock. Incomplete passes stop the clock. And, you want it. It's the same value of why teams love running the ball so much, even if it gets them less yards per play than a pass proportionally does. And it's just because you can make downs shorter. You don't have to get into 3rd and longs. You're keeping the ball moving. There's just so much value to ensuring you complete your passes. And again, this Tampa game was not the best in terms of that. He went 16 to 31. But if you look as far as the whole year goes, he has been the best in the league at that. In fact, he set a franchise record against Tennessee for completion percentage in a game. So that's been great. And then the thing that's been getting a lot of attention is his deep balls are freaking awesome. Like he's the best deep ball thrower in the entire league right now, and it's not particularly close. He had this beautiful little deep ball to Matt Collins that should have led to a touchdown later in the drive, but that's where his big mistake of the game came with an end zone interception. He had this like beautiful throw to Kyle Williams where he was getting killed in the pocket, throws it like kind of not really sidearm, but he throws it while getting killed, and it goes to Kyle Williams and perfect in stride. He's able to catch it on the crosser, and he just turns on the Jets because that's what he does. Beautiful, beautiful throws. Drake Maye has just been consistently awesome, and he's been really clutch too on like third and longs. And again, just so much credit to Drake Maye and the Patriots because they are 8-2 right now, and they are in firm control of that division. Outside of that, Trevion Henderson, I think we can finally kill the meme of give anyone but Trevion Henderson the ball that the Patriots have been liking to do for the first 9 games. Of course, I think he's not like he's of course not the most consistent runner. Frankly, he's a rookie, and that's not his game. He's like an super hyper explosive player. But to like give him 5 carries, 8 carries, what they were giving him before Ramondre went out was criminal. So getting him the ball more and letting him really just like give you those explosive plays was huge, and it is the thing that ended up winning them this game. He of course had that giant game-sealing run with a few minutes left to go in the game that gave the Patriots the game. So he has been awesome. I don't think he should be like the primary in the backfield. He shouldn't be the bell cow. He shouldn't be getting like 26 carries a game. No. Whenever Ramondre is back, even though I'm not the biggest Ramondre guy, you give Henderson like 15 a game. You give Ramondre 10 a game. Maybe you work in Jennings. Maybe you work in. I saw Deontay Foreman was getting some work. I would like this to be like the Lions with Sonic and Knuckles, Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. Right now, I'd argue they don't have a Knuckles. I just hate Ramondre Stevenson's fumbling stuff. But in theory, with less carries, there would be less of an issue with him fumbling. So hopefully that can work itself out. Their offensive line play as well for the Patriots heading into the year, it didn't look that good, right? Because it's like they drafted Will Campbell, so great. Hopefully that tackle spot works itself out. But outside of like that, they've been pretty serviceable, to be honest. They haven't been, of course, been like a top tier unit in the league or whatever, but they've been more than serviceable in the run game, and they've been giving Drake Maye like some time to throw, which against his Tampa team was really, really impressive. Now for the defense. What Vrabel has these guys doing on defense, man. If you look on paper, it's not like the most extremely talented unit. Like Christian Gonzalez is awesome. I like some of their veterans. I like Spillane a lot. Of course, I'm a big Milton Williams guy. I'd argue that he should have been the Super Bowl MVP because of the impact he had in that game. But it feels like so long ago that this defense, week 1 of the year, got cooked by Geno Smith for 450 yards, huh? That doesn't sound like real when I'm saying it out loud. That's crazy. But this defense is on the younger side, and they really have matured. They looked awesome against that really, really good Tampa team. And overall, when it comes to this team, there's been a lot of debate post this game about like whether the Patriots are Super Bowl contenders, whether they can actually go win it this year, when everyone thought they were going to be like this fun, maybe frisky team. And when I look at it, I'm just like being fully objective. I see a superstar quarterback who keeps the ball moving, who can be really efficient and can be really deadly. I see a running game that has so much explosiveness. I see one of the best run defenses in football. So in theory, there's nothing to say no. Like the thing that would hold you back is just like, oh, they're young, which sure, I think that's a fair critique. But we've seen younger teams like have success. I'm struggling for the words for it. Like just because they're young doesn't necessarily mean that they can't go win at all because they fit the formula perfectly. Usually there's like a very simple way to win in the NFL is have a star quarterback and a really good run defense. And that's exactly what the Patriots have. Plus, not to mention, they have an incredible path to the 1 seed. So we just talked about how their path to the AFC East has gotten a lot better this weekend with the Bills against the Dolphins, that mess. And outside of this Buccaneers game was the hardest game they have on their schedule for a while because they get the Jets on Thursday. They get the Bengals, the Giants, then the Bills. That's going to be a big game for them. The Ravens, I think that'll be the biggest test they have for the regular season. And then the Jets and the Dolphins. So realistically, if like worst comes to worst, they lose the Bills and the Ravens game and they're 13-4. Like, that's still enough to win the division. I don't think Buffalo is going to go undefeated the rest of the way. So they're going to have the division, and in all likelihood, I think they have the easiest path to the 1 seed, which would be if they split the Bills or the Ravens, they're probably going to be the 1 seed. So, again, there's nothing to say right now that this team can't go win the Super Bowl, which is crazy when you consider preseason expectations and all that. What Drake Maye and Mike Vrabel have done to turn around this team in just 1 year has been unbelievable. Now for Tampa. Top note I have is just this shit isn't good. It's when you look at how good Tampa was playing the first 5 to 6 weeks of the year, it feels like such a different team. I know that they have receiver injuries, right? They have Mike Evans out. Chris Godwin, God knows when he's going to be back to 100%. I think that might even require one more year. That injury was just so bad. That O-line got decimated by injury, but that's starting to get a little better. And even then, though, this just can't be acceptable. Baker went from the easiest MVP choice in the league to a guy who's kind of struggling at times. Of course, I'm thinking that as far as struggles go, that Lions game, he was bad. He was just flat out bad. This game, he wasn't as bad as that, but it doesn't look like the Baker we saw from a few weeks ago. And whether that's all because of the injuries to the team and his supporting cast started getting degraded, or just averages returning to normal, I'm not sure. So I need to start seeing the old Baker back, even if their record right now is really good. And of course, their division is easy as all hell. And as far as their defense goes, Todd Bowles is a hell of a DC. There's so much talent on that defensive side of the ball. They have good play everywhere. They have one of my favorite players in the entire league in Vita Vea and a really, really good D-line. It's just, and play per play, they're great. But it's just that every once in a while, they give up a 70-yard touchdown that breaks the camel's back entirely. This game, they gave up a 60-yard to Travion Henderson to open up the half, and then they gave up a 70-yard closing out run. And the whole game, they'd been playing great. They, in fact, had this awesome forced turnover on Drake Maye in the end zone to save a touchdown. This defense per play has been really, really good. But, man, they just need to stop giving up the chunks. The explosives are what's killing Tampa. And it killed them against Detroit, too, with Jahmyr Gibbs popping up those 2 huge runs. If they can just stop getting in their own way as far as these explosive plays and force the other and play more of not even bend, don't break, because earlier they weren't even bending all that much. It just comes down to controlling the explosives. So whenever the hell they can figure that out, they'll go back to being a true contender in my eyes. And it's crazy because 3 weeks ago, I had them as, in my opinion, the best team in the NFC. They were playing like the best team in the NFC. But now, there seems to be such a clear division because this team is just not what they were a few weeks ago. I have faith. I am, of course, I'm a Baker Mayfield glazer. I love Bucky Irving whenever he comes back. I think this offense will look better with Mike Evans eventually coming back near December. So I have full confidence that this unit can turn it around, but they need to turn this shit around quick if they want to keep fighting for one of these top spots in the NFC. Because right now it's looking more and more likely they're going to be stuck at that 4 spot like they have been the last few years. Moving on, we have the Berlin game. Falcons Colts had to get up for me bright and early in the morning. For most people, they would call it the normal time to wake up, which is 8:30 in the morning. By the way, I don't know how many people were crazy enough like me to do the gauntlet of getting up at 8:30 in the morning and then watching all the way through to Sunday Night Football. That is right around 13 hours of football, which I love. So for me, I'm never going to complain about that. But it's certainly taxing. It feels like the entire day just slips away just like that whenever there's the international game. So thankfully, I think we're done with them. I don't know how many. I'm pretty sure this is the last international game. I don't know how many more I could handle. This is a really good game. I was kind of surprised. I thought the Colts were just going to kind of come in there and handle business. Of course, this is the Sauce Gardner debut. That's what I woke up for, and he played great. He had this one play where he got cooked on a 2-point conversion by Drake London that went viral on Twitter. It's oh, so did you get 2 first-round picks for? Anybody who said that shit was not watching the actual game because he was awesome. Should have had an interception, by the way. Beautifully jumped this route, but just couldn't get his hands on the ball. It's okay. He'll get plenty more reps like that again. And, it ended up being a pretty good game. I got distracted by the Sauce Gardner stuff. Ended up being a really, really, really fun game. The Falcons surprisingly made this way more interesting than I thought they would. I guess call it the international game effect. But at the end of it, they give up. They kind of crumble at the end like they usually always do. And for the Falcons, I just wrote big yikes because that first round pick goes to the Rams, and right now it is the 10th pick in the draft because they are 3-6. The power of that rushing offense has seemingly fallen off a good bit to where they were heading into the Niners game. I want to say a few weeks ago. Again, this is right around week 7. They looked great. They had all the momentum in the world. They just beaten Buffalo on Monday night, dominated them. And it was like, okay, here comes the Falcons. They're going to really challenge Tampa for this division. But ever since then, it's just gotten worse and worse. Like I said, their ability to run the ball has kind of started to fall off. Like Bijan Robinson was like on pace to have like this historically great season. He's starting to not look the same way he was for the first few weeks. And that defense cannot stop the run at all. Jonathan Taylor ate their school lunch all day. And Penix puts just no fear into the other team. Like on third down, I don't know what. Just watching this game, every time it was like anything past 3rd and 5 where it wasn't an obvious run, no part of me was like, "Oh, Penix is gonna get this one. Oh, it'll be the Falcons got this." Nope. Every time I'm like, "This is gonna be the easy as shit stop," and most of the time I'm right, unless he threw it to Drake London. Like there's just no Penix has. I'm running out of better ways to say. Penix just has no aura. Like there's no fear of God that gets put whatsoever when he has to drop back and pass the ball. And it feels like he's never going to come up with the clutch play. And in this game, overtime, they had the ball first. And what do you know? They got stuffed. Again, more of that was just Lou Anarumo called a really, really nice few plays there in overtime, of course. But I don't know. I struggle with Penix. And for the Colts side of it, because for the Falcons, there's just not all that much to say. It's just unfortunate because this team has so much talent. They're 3-6 though, and they don't even own their own first round pick. I have faith that they'll turn it around a little bit, but not enough to make the playoffs. So that part sucks. Anyways, for the Colts side of it, I just have holy Jonathan Taylor in all caps. In my opinion, he is the MVP of the league right now. I don't think there's much of an argument. I think Drake Maye is like a solid shout. I think Matthew Stafford's a shout. But right now, no one has the impact that Jonathan Taylor does. I think he's already up over 1,000 yards. I think he's near 1,100, which is crazy. He has been dominant. He has been the engine to the best offense in football right now. And when he runs the ball, man, there was that play. I assume everyone has seen it. He got blown up at the line, and it looked like 1 yard loss, maybe a 1 yard gain. And he has this like little bounce to the outside. It's like, oh. And then he starts turning on the Jets and goes, oh. And then there's like these two guys, the Falcons defenders, coming near him. And then he just hits like this turbo boost that you see out of like Jahmyr Gibbs. And he's just gone. And you forget just how fast Jonathan Taylor is and how explosive he is with the ball. He is awesome. And I hope that we can finally get over the MVP as a quarterback award. One of the takes I'll always die on is that Christian McCaffrey was the MVP of the league 2 years ago, and they gave it to Lamar Jackson because he had one good game. I will hopefully the league will do us right, and if Jonathan Taylor keeps this shit up, he's got to be the MVP right now. And if he keeps it up, he should be the MVP because this Colts team isn't going to lose very many games. Daniel Jones, a guy who's been getting shit on a lot lately, which I don't understand. They lost one game to the Steelers. Shit happens. It's one game. I wanted to talk about it on the pod last week, but then the trade deadline fucking craziness happened. So, like, Daniel Jones had a rough game against the Steelers, but that wasn't, like, the end-all be-all. At the end of the day, even though he's not necessarily, like, a young quarterback, I'd argue he's still, like, relearning everything because he was under a shit head coach in a shit situation in Brian Daboll, and he got a few games with the Vikings, comes here to Indy, still, part of the scheme, still trying to figure it out. And it's just natural to have a few bad games like that. I thought everyone being like, oh, look, there's the Daniel Jones we know, was stupid. And in this game, of course, he had a rough interception. I went back and watched that one on film. I understand what he was trying to do. He was trying to like lead his guy underneath to sort of go underneath the safety. He just had a miscommunication with him. He was trying to go run over the top of him. Whatever. That part of it wasn't great. But for a quarterback who was getting so much shit, he was so clutch in this game. It was 3rd and 21. The Colts needed a field goal. It looked dead. Drive was dead. But what do you know? Daniel Jones turns on the Jets, picks up 19 yards on a scramble, And then he hits Tyler Warren on this little out route on 4th and 2 while getting crushed in the pocket. It's a beauty, like right over his head, right there, bang. And that gets him into field goal range. He was so awesome. And then in overtime, he had this like beauty layered throw to, of course, who else? Tyler Warren, right over the shoulder, bang, catches that one. And hopefully this game gets a little bit more pressure off his back. But I know that pressure is never going to go away. Whenever the media has like firmly placed their claim that this guy is good, this guy is bad, they refuse to see it as any other way. Lord knows I know that with Brock Purdy. Holy shit, the amount of Brock Purdy debates in 2023 were infuriating, and they still kind of go on. But, man, he has been, hopefully he can keep continuing to silence critics, because I love watching this Colts offense play. I have right now, the Colts and the Patriots should be the favorites of the AFC, and not particularly close. It is only bias from the last few years that the Chiefs or the Bills are in that conversation right now, because neither of those teams look great at all. Like right now, Kansas City was on a bye, but that loss to Buffalo looks way worse, because yikes, Buffalo fell apart against the Dolphins this week. All right, moving off this game, I have a few just like general points I want to talk about. I have collapses of the week because there seem to be so many. And let's start with the Giants blowing a 10-point lead again and Brian Daboll getting fired. As for the game, classic Giants football. Jackson Dart gets injured in this one. Russ has to come in, and I listened to the post-game interview for Russ. Poor guy just sounds like he has no love for the game anymore. This was the guy who was like, I'm Mr. Unlimited. Like it sounded like, he wasn't a great player, but at least he sounded like he loved the sport. Now, poor guy, he just sounds dead inside. And it's like, it was kind of sad, honestly. It's for a guy who I had to hate as a Niners fan who kept cooking my team. Even I felt sympathy for him. I'm like, damn, all right, man. But obviously it didn't go well for the Giants. Caleb Williams, that offense clicked in that fourth quarter, and sort of Marsh made it look really easy, honestly. And Daboll gets fired. I did a little instant reaction on TikTok and Instagram when Daboll got fired. I said it was a move that they should have done a year ago, potentially 2 years ago. It is a move that has been long in the running. I think ever since they gave Daniel Jones that $40 million contract and passed up on Saquon, that should have been like the sign right there, like, holy shit, no, there's something way off in the organization. The fact that the GM, by the way, got spared in that equation is crazy to me. I don't know how the hell Joe Shane is keeping his job. He's god-awful. So this is just a move that's a long time coming. I think the Giants right now are like bottom 3 in the league in penalties, and not in like the good way, as in like they're giving up a ton of penalty yardage. When you just watch them, nothing about them says well coached at all. Their players are frustrated all the time. Of course, we had Brian Burns a few weeks ago, just like yelling post game and being really frustrated. And I can't remember what it was he was yelling about, but no one on that team looks happy. It's very clear he's lost the locker room. And what he's done with Jackson Dart, I'd say, is freaking malpractice. A few weeks ago, he was in concussion protocol. And then, of course, he and Scadaboo are checking in the 10 and thinking about that Eagles game from a while back. That was not good looks. And then, of course, he comes out of protocol, and then the first thing they call for him is like a read option right up the middle, and he takes another hit. Jackson Dart has taken more hits than any other quarterback this year, and he came in week 4. What he has done to what is a very, very talented and promising young rookie is sad as hell. And I'm glad that he is gone, hopefully before he caused too much damage, because this is now Dart's 4th time in the concussion protocol, and this one was serious enough to take him out of the game, when it seems like the type of player where nothing would take him out of the game. So hopefully Jackson Dart's okay. Hopefully the next interim doesn't run him to the freaking ground, and the next coach takes him a little more seriously, because Dart's a hell of a player, and I really hope that the next coach can mold him. Next collapse, the Cardinals being down 35-0 at halftime, or near halftime. Oh, that Cardinals game. When the Seahawks started off with a 43-yard touchdown bomb to JSN, it's like, okay, this is going the way I expected. And the next few plays is like Jacoby Brissett fumbling and getting another touchdown, and the Seahawks scored again, and then they forced another defensive touchdown. It's like, holy shit. It was a huge statement for Seattle being like the best team in the league right now. But the Cardinals, man, after all that stuff with it's Jonathan Gannon naming Brissett the starter, like the not so soft benching of Kyler Murray and all that. Yeah, that's not a good way to start it. And now they get the Niners next week. Next thing I want to talk about, or the next collapse, Jaguars letting Davis Mills get frisky in the fourth quarter and lead a 19-point comeback on them. This was just, of course, in the morning I watch Red Zone, and then afterwards for these podcasts I go back and I watch the games for them. But seeing this thing on Red Zone was just so funny. Like, it was 10-20. I'm like, okay, whatever. The Jags got this one. And then Red Zone checks back in, 17-29. I'm like, okay, cool. And then it's 24-29. I'm like, oh, what? And then I see the Jags get stuffed, and then it's Davis Mills' ball. I'm like, okay, whatever. What is Davis Mills going to do with the ball? And then they lead him for another touchdown. I'm like, oh, sorry. I'm like almost tearing up. It was crazy to watch that unfold. Yeah. So of all teams, the freaking Texans, who I have been like dying on the hill of, they're talented. They can be good. I have faith in them to be. And every time they've came back every week and like made me look dumb. That Broncos game last week, not great. But hey, of all things, Davis Mills sparked a comeback and hopefully sparked up this Texans offense to be good again, because that defense is, again, so good. Like, Derek Stingley had this nasty one-handed interception to take points off the board for Jacksonville at the end of the half. I know how much talent this Texans defense has. Just give them the competent offense. And we'll see some beautiful shit happen there. And for the Jags, just yikes. What else is new? I think what will probably go down as my worst take of the year was saying the Jaguars are a scary team after beating Kansas City and we're like a real threat. I was wrong. If people want to flame me for that, by all means, go ahead. That was a rough take. Next collapse. The Bills getting blown out by the fucking Dolphins. The fish out in the warm rain of Miami, which, again, so weird, by the way, that you can combine those two words when talking about Miami. Again, it's just they looked lifeless. It was so weird. It looked like they'd like sort of gone on vacation after the Chiefs game and forgot to practice, because that was a huge game that they needed. Like, division games are huge when it comes to tiebreakers and stuff like that. And they had the edge, or they didn't have the edge, but they were already down in that column because they lost to the Patriots. Losing to the Dolphins doesn't fucking help. So that's a mess. They don't look particularly good at all. Josh Allen looks like a guy who's just looking desperate to like make the big play every time, which was a mistake he had like a few years ago. Ever since Joe Brady took over, that problem has seemed to gone away, but that resurfaced its head 2 days ago. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about Buffalo. I need to see them play again, and I really want to see them play New England, but we won't get that for another month. And for the Dolphins, hey, good for them. This was truly a lose-lose game because the Dolphins really don't need to be winning games right now. And you know what? I'm just going to say good for them. The Steelers continuing to be a really, really weird football team. I don't understand what the hell is going in Pittsburgh land, but I guess I never do. So this is par for the course. They went out against the Colts and were dominant. It was like, oh my God, that defense is back. 6 takeaways. Even a competent offense from them was enough to like really just dominate the game. And we get Sunday Night Football, battered Chargers team. They do the little PFF graphic before the game, and you see their left tackle, 36 of 36. Left guard, 35 of 35. And these centers, these offensive linemen are like proudly up there stating their names on the intro. And then underneath you just see, oh, you suck. 36 of 36. And then Justin Herbert and that Chargers offense did nothing for the first half because they couldn't, because of all the pressure. But the Steelers followed up by also just doing nothing. And that was genuinely a worse watch than the freaking Eagles-Packers game, because at least I got to see some like talented defenses. And in this game, oh my God, it was just so bad for the first half. But thankfully the Chargers saved it, made it a little more interesting, because they ended up putting up some points on the board and firmly controlling this game. And for the Steelers, comedy of errors in this one. Aaron Rodgers misses a guy by 10 yards over his head, and it's the easiest interception ever. On 4th down, they call a fade for DK 10 yards away from the goal line, and he's double teamed, so he just obviously doesn't catch it, because how the hell would he? They fumble, they muff a punt to lose the game in like the most JV high school way imaginable. Like that returner, I don't know if he got cut today. He should have, because, oh my God, how the hell do you do that in the NFL? I saw they signed Asante Samuel Jr. I don't really know how much that fixes for them. Their defense was already pretty good, or has looked pretty good, but okay, sure. And then the last bit of news we have, or 2 last bits of news I want to get to. Some injury stuff. Start with the positive one. Joe Burrow is back at practice. And the question I wrote here is like, do they have a chance to sneak into the playoffs? So when you look at like the AFC, for one, they need to handle their business. So looking at the Bengals schedule, sorry, just give me 1 second to pull this up. Looking at the Bengals schedule, you have this huge game against Pittsburgh on Sunday, which is, that presumably will be Joe Flacco. So huge game for them. If they can win that one, I think that, then we can start talking about them potentially being a team that can sneak in. But then after that, they have that New England game, which probably they're not going to win. The Target game, which is Baltimore. So we would presume Joe Burrow's back for this. And then the Bills, the Ravens again, the Fish in Miami, the Cardinals, and the Browns. So you're looking at it, they have 3 gimmies at the end of the year. But other than that, the next 5 are freaking hell games. But if they can somehow sneak through those with what? Maybe 2 losses? 1? Like they realistically can afford 1 to 2 max. Like 9-8 probably is good enough for them to sneak into the playoffs. But even then, it'd be very, very dicey. They would need things to roll their way. So outside of that game, by the way, in hindsight, that Bears game, losing that one, oh my God. Does that one hurt, knowing that Joe Burrow was ready there? The Bears and the Jets game, those were 2 games that they easily should have won. Of course, with the Bears collapsing and then them just collapsing against the Jets. Because you flip that question to me now, if they have 4 losses and they're 5-4, can they be like back with Joe Burrow? I would say absolutely. Right? Because they could even lose a few of these games, these hard games coming up, get Burrow back, and be ready to try and make a run at it. But now, not only would they have to find a way to beat the Steelers, Patriots, Ravens, Bills, and Ravens again, they'd have to go 3-2 with a combination of Burrow and Flacco at worst. They would also need the Chiefs, the Steelers, and the Jaguars to collapse. Which, of course, the Steelers and the Jags looks like are going to help themselves at that. So I guess that's a positive for them. But needing the Chiefs to collapse for a spot, I don't know how I feel about that one. I know the Chiefs have a pretty rough schedule. The Steelers have an insanely rough schedule. We were talking about that 2 weeks ago. And the Jaguars are just the freaking Jaguars. So, I mean, I don't see a path right now. But talk to me again in 3 weeks, especially if the Bengals can somehow win the next 2 games and then get Burrow back. We'll see then. Last thing I want to talk about, I don't have any notes for this one because it just happened a few hours ago. Travis Hunter, sadly, is out for the year with a season-ending injury. This one was rough. I was never a big fan of him playing the 2-way role to begin with, and I thought that if he was going to, this whole rookie season was going to be just a lot of practice. I don't know how much impact he could make on the field, just because that's such a hard role for any player to step into, let alone a rookie. So to see him now, he's going to miss. He had, I think, a PCL injury or LCL injury in practice. He tore it, or I'm not sure if he tore it or whatever. It was a mess. They originally said that he would be back in a few weeks, but injury reporting in the NFL has gone to shit. Look at the guy I'm wearing on my fucking t-shirt right now, Brock Purdy. Reporting injuries in the NFL sucks now, so I guess it ended up being a season-ending injury, and he's going to be hopefully back in 6 months. So it sucks. I don't know how he's going to get. He just needed reps. He needed as many reps as possible at that 2-way thing. So for now, I would hope that whenever he comes back, they really do focus him on one side of the ball. Try and let him figure that out, and then in the meanwhile, keep training a little bit of practice, maybe 5 to 10 reps on that defensive side. Let him slowly learn and accumulate in, and hopefully not too many reps to hurt his body or whatever. It just sucks. I loved him in Colorado. I would actually, I only watch college games if there's a particular player or prospect I really love, and he was one of those players where I would actually turn on and watch the Colorado games. So it sucks to see a player like that get injured, and hopefully he'll be back and kicking pretty soon. That is all I have for you guys today. It has been a long show, 51 minutes. Again, I started the show with this, but I want to thank you guys all so much for the continued support and listening in to me ramble at these podcasts. It has been a phenomenal time, and I hope to see you guys all next week.